Hi, thanks for joining me on the Listen Up Girl podcast, your daily LGBTQ plus podcast. I'm your host, Zach Randall Friedman. Today is Thursday, May 21st, 2026. Today, we're going to talk about South Carolina just signed a law forcing trans kids to use outdoor porta potties. The federal government is going after one of the most iconic women's colleges in America. A GOP official who spent years calling us groomers was just arrested for trying to hire a child prostitute, and so much more. Our first story is South Carolina forces trans students to use outdoor porta potties. We are starting in South Carolina, where Governor Henry McMaster just signed Bill 4756 into law, a piece of legislation so cruel it almost reads like satire. But it's not. It's now the law. The bill, officially called the Student Physical Privacy Act, bans transgender students from using multiple person bathrooms, locker rooms, and changing facilities in any public school K through 12 or public college in South Carolina that align with their gender identity. And if a trans student needs privacy, the law's answer is send them outside to a portable toilet. This is not a figure of speech. South Carolina has made it a state policy that trans students go outside to a porta potty. Before the governor signed it, the Campaign for Southern Equality warned exactly what this would do. It will make the bathroom a difficult and even dangerous experience for trans and non-binary youth, students who are already among the most bullied in our schools. The law goes further than bathrooms. It also dictates sleeping arrangements on school-sponsored overnight trips, saying students cannot be required to share sleeping quarters with trans classmates. Public colleges are now required to offer single-sex rooming options. All of it must be implemented by the start of the 2026-27 school year. A comment that spread widely after the signing says it's simply segregation. It's not about the bathrooms. It's just like it wasn't about the water fountains. It's about discrimination. Whenever I seen this story and started writing it out, I thought it was fake. I thought it was fake news, but it's not. It's real. This is the country we're living in. Next, the federal government investigates Smith College for admitting trans women. The Orange Convicted Felons Administration's Department of Education has opened up Title IX investigation into Smith College, one of the most celebrated women's liberal arts colleges in the country, located in Northampton, Massachusetts, for the crime of admitting transgender women. Smith College, 155 years old and one of the original Seven Sisters, has admitted trans women since 2015. Their policy is clear. They consider any applicant who identifies as a woman, cisgender, transgender, or non-binary. That is their policy. The Orange Convicted Felons Administration argues that violates federal law. Their Office for Civil Rights says Title IX's single-sex exception applies only on the basis of biological sex, and that a women's college that admits trans women ceases to qualify for those protections. The Assistant Secretary for Civil Rights said that an all-women's college loses all meaning if it's admitting biological males. That is the language they chose. The investigation is triggered by a complaint from a Defunding Education, a conservative legal group, filed back in June of 2025. And critically, it did not come from anyone inside Smith. No student, no faculty, no alumni. It was outsiders trying to weaponize civil rights laws against the very community it was built to protect. These stakes are enormous. And when you think about Wellesley, Bernard, Mills, most of the Seven Sisters have the same or similar inclusive admissions policies. If the government secedes, all of them are at risk. A trans student, Smith, who asked not to be identified, told WBUR, as a trans woman in the United States, I don't feel safe at all. She said she is trying to just come to school and get her degree. Smith College has confirmed it received notice of the investigation. It says it's committed to its institutional values and is not commenting further while the case is pending. Sounds like a school that is not backing down, so good for you, Smith College. Next, GOP official who called us groomers arrested for soliciting child prostitutes. Because apparently we need to keep saying it, Dave Williams, former chairman of the Colorado Republican Party, has been arrested for attempting to hire a child prostitute. Let me tell you who Dave Williams is. In 2024, while serving as the chair of the Colorado GOP, he called LGBTQ plus people evil and woke creeps. He said pride harms children. He sent official Colorado Republican emails using party infrastructure that referred to LGBTQ plus Americans as, I quote, barbaric, creeps, degenerates, godless, groomers, predators, radicals. This is the vocabulary he used in the official party communication. He was officially pushed out of the chairmanship in August of 2024 for causing divisions within the party through his extremism. And now he has been arrested. This is not one-off, this is a pattern. South Carolina State Representative R.J. May, honored by Moms for Liberty as her Legislator of the Year and for his anti-LGBTQ plus work, was sentenced in January of 2026 to 17 and a half years in federal prison for distributing child sex abuse materials. A. Hannon, South Carolina City Council member, was arrested just this April and allegedly paying children to send him explicit images. The party that built political identity on calling our community predators keeps producing actual predators. We will never stop pointing that out. Because there, again, it's the same story. The most homophobic people are the ones that always have something to always. Just, it's insane. Next, Supreme Court guts conversion therapy bans an 8-1 ruling. And this one is going to sting. On March 31st, Transgender Day of Visibility, the United States Supreme Court ruled 8-1 on that Colorado's ban on conversion therapy for minors likely violates the First Amendment. This case is called Childs versus Salazar. A Christian counselor named Kaylee Childs argued that the state's law banning the practice prevented her from offering faith-based talk therapy. The court agreed 8-1 that the law raises serious free speech concerns. The ruling doesn't technically strike down Colorado's law outright. It sends the case back to lower courts, but legal experts on both sides are saying the same thing. That law is almost certainly going down, and with it, conversion therapy bans in 20 or more other states. So let me be clear about what conversion therapy is. It's a pseudoscientific, discredited practice that attempts to change a person's sexual orientation or gender identity. The American Medical Association rejects it. The American Psychological Association rejects it. The American Academy of Pediatrics rejects it. Every major medical organization in the country calls it harmful. It has been linked to depression, anxiety, self-harm, homelessness, and suicide, particularly in young people. The Human Rights Campaign president called it cruel, saying more American kids will suffer because of it. The only dissent came from Justice Kenja Brown Jackson, who warned that the ruling threatens states' ability to regulate medical care in any meaningful way. She highlighted that the documented harm conversion therapy causes to LGBTQ plus youth. Two of the court's 3 liberal justices joined the conservative majority in this decision. It crossed ideological lines, and children will be less protected because of it. Next story is Colorado's gay governor stuns his own party. So back to Colorado and to the governor, Jared Polis, who was one of the first prominent gay elected officials in the entire country. First openly gay elected governor in the United States history. On May 15th, Polis commuted the prison sentence of Tina Peters. Tina Peters is a former Mesa County clerk who was convicted on multiple felonies for allowing election deniers access to voting machines in her county as part of the effort to substantiate false claims about the 2020 presidential election. She was tried by a jury of her peers in a Republican county by a Republican district attorney. She was found guilty and sentenced to 9 years in prison. The reaction from Colorado Democrats was immediate and damning. The secretary called it a dark day for democracy. The attorney general called the decision mind-boggling. Senators Bennett and Hickenlooper condemned it. So did the Colorado AFL-CIO, Common Cause, the League of Women Voters, and the Mesa County District Attorney who had prosecuted Peters. Poles defended the decision publicly, but at one point during the CNN interview said that Peters did not commit any crimes regarding the 2020 election, which is baffling given that her crimes were entirely related to the 2020 election. He said it multiple times. It was not a slip. The orange convicted felon had publicly called for Peter's release. Many people are drawing their own conclusions. This is a complicated story for our community. Pelosi has been a genuine, consistent ally to the LGBTQ plus community rights throughout his career, but allyship is not a lifetime hall pass. The decision hurt Democratic accountability, and his party is right to say so. Next in Iowa Democrat goes viral for pro-LGBTQ plus town hall moment. So something a little different, and honestly something that felt like a breath of fresh air. Iowa State Auditor Rob Sand is running for governor of Iowa in 2026. He has a ritual he performs at every single town hall he hosts. Before any political discussion begins, he asks everyone in the room, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, to stand up and sing America the Beautiful together. A video of him doing this recently went widely viral. And while some people roll their eyes at the corniness of it, and look, I get it, what made this land differently for a lot of people is the context behind it. At a town hall last year, Sand was pressed directly on LGBTQ plus protections in Iowa after Republican lawmakers repealed the state's civil rights protections for transgender Iowans. A young woman in the audience, a University of Iowa graduate student with a trans loved one, asked him point blank, what will it take to restore their rights? Sand said clearly, what Iowa did to transgender people is wrong. You should not be fired from your job in the state of Iowa for being different. You should not be evicted from your apartment in Iowa. And in 2026, that takes something. The video of this town hall singing ritual went viral this week, and people across the political spectrum responding to it, including Republicans who said they don't agree with his politics, but appreciate the approach. Charlotte Clymer wrote that people on the far left who don't understand why this appeals to voters are missing exactly why Democrats struggle to connect outside their base. In a moment where our community is constantly under attack, seeing an elected official in a deep red stake his campaign on inclusion and then show up and build actual coalition, that matters. We will keep our eyes on Rob Sand. And next, Pete Buttigieg drags Sean Duffy on national television. So we are closing today with our people's former transportation secretary doing what he does best. Pete Buttigieg appeared on CNN's State of the Union this past Sunday and called out his successor, current transportation secretary Sean Duffy, over what is now being called the Great American Road Trip, a 7-month cross-country reality show that Duffy filmed with his wife Rachel Campbell Duffy and their 9 children. Their show is sponsored by companies that Duffy's own department oversees and regulates, including Boeing, Shell, Royal Caribbean. Duffy has claimed taxpayers didn't fund the production and that he and his family took no salary or royalties from it. Buttigieg was having none of it. He told CNN, I love road trips. I love America. I actually took a taxpayer-funded road trip lasting about 7 months. It was in Afghanistan. He said it was an embarrassment for the transportation secretary to be going around claiming a road trip fits any budget at a time when Americans cannot afford to fill their gas tanks because of exploding fuel prices tied directly to the administration's decision. Chasten Buttigieg joined in on social media, pointing out that the Duffys threw endless fits on national television when Pete was working from their newborn son's ICU bedside back in 2021, and now are bragging about a multi-month family road trip while working families can't afford groceries. Raphael Campbell's Duffy told Chastain to stand down. He did not stand down. There are moments when the community's visibility in politics feels like a liability. Pete and Chasten Buttigieg continue to show us why it is actually an asset. They fight loud, they fight smart, and they do not apologize for it. And that is how it's done. So thank you, Pete and Chasten, for always being there. So this is Listen Up Girl podcast for today, Thursday, March 21st. South Carolina sent trans kids to Porta-Potties. The feds came for Smith College. A GOP groomer accuser got arrested. The Supreme Court handed conversion therapy an opening. Colorado's gay governor broke ranks. an Iowa Democrat is showing pro-LGBTQ plus coalition politics actually looks like. And Pete and Chasten Buttigieg remind us that the country that our people do not stand down. Stay informed, stay loud, and take care of each other. If this episode resonated with somebody that you know, share it with them. Leave a review, because the more reviews you leave, the more people that will hear this podcast. I'm Zach Randall Friedman. This is Listen Up Grow, your daily LGBTQ plus podcast. I'll be back tomorrow.